Hello and welcome to the Pup Mommy. This is a channel where I share my practical hands-on experience in everything that I've learned, including my mistakes, plenty of those, in owning, loving, and caring for dogs for over 30 years. Now, this is the second video that I'm making on a topic that is basically what I would not necessarily recommend as breeds for the first-time dog owner. And before I get into that topic, I'd like to have you watch this short video. In that video, I think is a prime example of what happens when you make a mistake. When you get a dog that is not necessarily complementary to your lifestyle and your personality, and you get in over your head, and this is the result. So the purpose of this video is to ensure that neither you nor your adopted dog end up as statistics. Now, you're probably wondering, with the list of dogs that I'm going to show you, how in the world did they get on my list? And there is a detailed definition of the criteria I'm using it's posted in the description section, but I will go over them very, very high level so that you know what they are. The criteria first is maintenance, meaning high maintenance. Not necessarily food and vet costs, but we're talking high maintenance as in you need eyes 360 around your head, because if you can't see the dog, you can't hear the dog, that dog is into something. And also dogs who require more special handling and the knowledge to handle them properly. The second piece of criteria is the size of the breed. And yes, we all know that the larger the dog, the more it costs, but also the larger the breed, the more difficult it can be to handle for a first-time dog owner. Many first-time owners have absolutely no idea how strong a 50, 70-pound dog can be. And that's not even talking about the ones who weigh over 100 pounds. And it's very easy to face plant into the sidewalk if you do not have control over that dog. Third piece of criteria is intelligence. And of course, why wouldn't you want an intelligent dog? Because dogs look at owners as their leader and as their protector. And when dogs don't sense that you are neither, they will take over and start running you. So some of the really intelligent breeds are on this list. And then fourth is temperament. Temperament is crucial. It's a crucial component for many, many breeders. And while you can train away certain behaviors, DNA and genetics, you can't. So dogs that are, a little bit more stubborn, a little bit more willful, and so forth, are you're going to find on this list. So anyway, why don't we get started with and I'm going to group the dogs very similar to what I did in the first video. So for the first group of dogs that you see on the screen, we have the pointer, the German Shorthaired pointer. We have the German Wirehaired pointer, which shot to fame, courtesy of a South Dakota governor. And we have the Vizsla, the Weimaraner, and the Rhodesian Ridgeback. Now, these dogs are all members of the AKC sporting group, so that's one of the things they have in common. But the other things that they have in common that can easily overwhelm a first-time dog owner is the fact that these are very high-energy dogs with very high prey drives. They are intelligent dogs. Yes, they bond with family members. Sometimes they bond with particular family members. They are affectionate dogs, and these dogs are basically hunting dogs. They're also known as bird dogs. They're known as gun dogs, but they're always in the field. They need a great deal of exercise, and sometimes first-time dog owners don't really understand what is the difference between exercising your dog and high energy dogs? And exercising your dog, you know, you can send the dog out if you have a backyard, a fenced backyard, and let it exercise. Or you walk a dog about a mile around the block 2-3 times a week. That's not what we need, what I mean by high energy, especially with these breeds. These breeds need full out running and exercise. And when these dogs need that for the mental stimulation. They need a job to do. They need that kind of exercise. And if they don't get that exercise, it can be problematic for you. And also some of, you know, the Weimaraner is a wonderful Velcro dog. German Shorthaired pointer is lovely. We have pointers in my neighborhood. The Rhodesian Ridgeback can be a little bit a stubborn, willful dog, but also a great dog. But again, they need space and they need that they are high energy dogs. They need that exercise. These dogs also run in the area of 50 to 70 pounds, and they're probably about 28 inches, 26, 28 inches in height. So they are not small dogs by any stretch of the imagination. So caution when it comes to these breeds, especially if you are a first-time dog owner. I'm going to stop here for a moment and I'm going to do a self-serving promo commercial. The Pup Mommy offers a service to people who are thinking about adopting dogs and bringing dogs into their family, and that service is to help them find the right dog that matches their personality and lifestyle. And how is this done? Well, we sit down on a Zoom call and we start having a conversation about your lifestyle, your personality, what you're looking for in a dog. And then basically I have my own little Pup Mommy questionnaire. And then the answers that you give me, I go out and do the heavy lifting for you. I find about 4 or 5 breeds that actually match what you are looking for and then present them to you with my rationale. You make up your mind, you make up the decision, the ultimate decision as to which dog or dogs you want to pursue. With that, I then will go out and I will help you find a breeder or a breed rescue or even a shelter if you decide to go that shelter route, so that you end up with the optimal dog of your dreams, exactly what you are looking for. I also offer additional services where if you need for me to help you set up your home with the right supplies, the right dog food, and everything else that you need to make sure that your home is dog-proof, puppy-proof, as well as you have everything that you need to make your dog happy, I can do that as well, including finding the trainer, the vet, and the groomer, and then also staying alongside you for the next month, 60 days, however you need me, to help you and the dog acclimate to each other, as well as any issues or problems that may arise. If you're interested in those services, I will leave a link to my website. You can take more of a look at what I'm offering there with different pricing, different packages, but I also custom design things for so many people. So if you like, it's complimentary and a complimentary appointment. It can be booked absolutely free, so that we can see if we're the right fit for each other. But if you're looking for a dog, I'd love to help you. So that's the end of my promo commercial message. So thank you very much for listening. Now let's move on. The second group of dogs that you see on the screen we're back into the working line and the guardian group. You see the Great Pyrenees, the giant Schnauzer, and the Akita. Now, these dogs are, I would say, most definitely not for a first-time dog owner. These are working line dogs. These dogs need a job to do. Let's start with the Great Pyrenees very briefly. These dogs were bred to be livestock guardians. These dogs also are about 130 pounds. Sometimes they can be a little more, they can be a little less. Whereas they don't need a huge amount of exercise. They exercise when they take care of their flock, because they're with the flock, they're also guarding the flock. They're very heavy, double-coated. They need a lot of grooming. They also drool, and they also bark. A lot of times people who have Great Pyrenees will remark that they're usually kind of docile and quiet in the day, but these dogs are nocturnal, because when do predators come out? Well, they come out at night. So you may have a bit of a barking problem. They also need a great deal of space. These dogs also are not necessarily the kind of dogs that are going to obey commands instantly. These are dogs that need to think for themselves. That's what they were bred to do. That's what part of their function is. Moving on, we now come to the giant Schnauzer. This is also a large dog. This dog can also be about 100 pounds. There is a miniature Schnauzer, standard Schnauzer, and a giant Schnauzer. These particular dogs I've seen used as guardian protection dogs for families. They definitely are strong, self-confident, willful dogs. This is a perfect example of what I mentioned before about dogs that need the leader, that firm, calm direction, that leader, the protector, and when they sense that you are not that person, this is the kind of breed that can take over. These are dogs that are used to working outside. Yes, of course, they can live with families. They're affectionate dogs. They're great dogs, but again, not necessarily for the first-time dog owner. And then finally, we have the Akita. The Akita is, I have a very good friend who, when she worked in Alaska, she had nothing but Akitas. And these dogs love the cold, they love the snow, they're double-coated, they're heavy-coated dogs. They are very willful dogs, they are strong dogs, they are not easy to train. They have minds of their own, and socialization and training is so important with these dogs, because sometimes these dogs can be a bit aggressive. Now, I don't mean overtly aggressive, but these dogs can be aggressive towards other dogs, as well as sometimes to humans as well, especially if they're strangers. They have a mind of their own, and while a lot of people who own Akitas swear by them because they are great dogs, they are so not for the first-time owner. And now we come to the final grouping on my list. This is probably the ones that are going to create the most commotion and maybe the most comments, but I think I can rationalize why I put them on this list. And these dogs are the Beagle, the Dachshund, the Pembroke Welsh Corgi, the French Bulldog, and the Pug. Now, they're all great dogs. They really are. There are a number of dogs on there I love. I would love to get a Pembroke Welsh Corgi eventually. But why are they on my list? Well, let's start with the Beagle. When I mentioned early in the video about dogs being high maintenance, Beagles can be high maintenance. Beagles are from the Hound group, and they are their nose is second only to the Bloodhound. They are excellent scent hounds, so that means that when they find something and they're looking for something, they are going to be they're going to want to get it. So you definitely need a fenced yard with a Beagle, but also be aware that, again, because of that nose and because they're curious little guys, it's not uncommon for Beagles to be escape artists, to know how to dig under fences, to know how to slip through fences. These little guys need mental stimulation. When you're training them, you have to think about, how can I keep this dog's interest? These are great dogs, they really are, but you have to know what you're getting into. And again, sometimes Beagles are, in fact, I've seen them on a list of dogs that people adopted but wish they didn't. So I'm putting this dog on the list simply because it can be an overwhelming dog for first-time owners. You have to know what you're getting into. You have to have the space, you have to have the patience, and you have to have the ability to let this little guy exercise daily. Second dog on the list is the Dachshund. This is also what I meant in terms of high maintenance, because you have to know how to handle Dachshunds. These are not fragile dogs, they are bred for hunting. But at the same time, because of their long, low back, they are prone to injury. So you have to know how to hold them, and you also have to ensure that you're not going to have these dogs jumping up and down off of furniture, going up and down the stairs multiple times during the day, because this is what can cause the problem. These dogs are also a little difficult to housebreak by people who own them, And also, again, they are affectionate, they're loving dogs, they're great. But also when they exercise, a lot of times their rules of engagement may not necessarily be yours. So these are our cute little critters, but again, you have to know what you're doing. So that's why maybe not for the first-time dog owner. The third dog on the list, of course, is the Pembroke Welsh Corgi. This also is a dog that's very muscular, very high activity. This is a herding breed dog. This dog herds livestock that is 3, 4, 5 times the size of it. And it herds livestock through constant activity, and also corgis are known as little nippers because they nip at the hocks to keep the livestock moving in the direction that they want. This can also translate to when they're in a home with you, they can kind of nip at your ankles or nip at your little munchkins. And sometimes people who get these dogs are not that, and they don't know the function of the dog. They can't really understand the difference between when we say these dogs nip versus they bite, because there is a big difference. They're adorable dogs. They always seem to be very happy. They were the late Queen Elizabeth's favorite breed. But again, these are herding dogs. They need that mental stimulation. They need that job to do in order for them to stay happy and out of mischief. And then finally we come to the other two dogs, and what they have in common is they're brachycephalic dogs, very similar to the Boston Terriers over my shoulder, and who is actually playing at my feet at the moment. Brachycephalic dogs means that they have that pushed-in nose, and that affects their ability and affects their breathing ability. These are dogs that are not good for warm, hot, humid weather. The reason I also have the French Bulldog on the list is because this is the #1 breed in the country according to the AKC. The problem with that, and anytime you have dogs in, like, let's say the top 5 slots and positions, that encourages more of the backyard breeders and the unscrupulous breeders who want to cash in on the popularity of the breed. And as a result, you end up with where you get your dog, where you adopt it. And this is where knowing a breeder and the right breeder is crucial, and where I come in, because I have a history of purebred dogs, and I've worked with breeders who breed championship line dogs. Now, the thing is that with the French Bulldog, again, you're running into that problem. I've heard it said that, you know, when you see a #1 dog or a #2 breed in the country, that's when you run from the breed. Again, those are the reasons why. Because I've seen people who will invest thousands of dollars on the dog and then another thousands of dollars at the veterinarian because they have a dog that's in poor health as a result of poor breeding. You don't want that. And then finally we have also the pug, also adorable, also people absolutely love this breed. And what is not to love about this breed? These are wonderful little dogs. But again, I will relate a story to you. I have a very dear friend. She and I work together downtown Chicago. And whereas I lived in the suburbs and she lived in the city, but for why I say where she lived is because she lived in a 3-story apartment building, a third-story walk-up. And of course, there's no central air conditioning, so I think you can tell where I'm leading with this. She came to work one day, warm day, comes home. I get a phone call. She's hysterical. She had 5 pugs. 2 of them were dead from heat stroke. The other 3 were barely alive. This is where, again, like with French Bulldogs, like with pugs, special care and special handling is needed to really know what you're doing when you have these types of dogs. And this is why I don't necessarily recommend pugs for first-time dog owners, because the other thing is too, well, you always have to watch how much exercise they're getting, because when they start panting, that is not a good sign. You really, especially heavy panting. All dogs pant because that's the way that they release the heat in their bodies. But pugs are not necessarily meant for any type of, or French Bulldogs for any type of long exercise. These are not jogging buddies by any stretch of the imagination. They're cuddle buddies and they're lap buddies. But at the same time, you've got to know what you're doing. So that is the result of my second video on this topic of dogs not for the first time dog owner. Thank you very much for watching. I do so appreciate it. Comment all you like, and don't forget to click and subscribe. So I will say bye for now.